Sometimes I don't give a shit. Not the way I want to start this video, right? Sometimes I don't give a shit. But are sports real? Is it even that important? I put out the last video I just did was about, it was a couple days ago. I've just been en route from one place to another recently, so it hasn't been the greatest level of concentration on my part. But it wasn't. I wasn't in hiding after putting up a video of like a 6 minute video talking about little Jordan Humphrey and how I think that he would be a good bet to get a touchdown because he's facing his former team. I'm big on the former team thing, and he didn't like probably like a you can basically call it a no show. He was not factored in at all. I get it. Broncos are a tough defense, and they got a lot of good players on that roster. And Jackson Dart is a rookie quarterback. He's just getting his feet wet. So my brother did make a good point. He's like, they're not there yet. It's to get a guy like a redemption touchdown. Feels like maybe it can come from under a different format. Like the Giants are just trying to find themselves a bit and trying to play and understand who they are. Maybe they don't have room to fit in that redemption touchdown. I don't know. I mean, not that those things are well timed, but sometimes I think they are. I believe it. I think they are. But the Giants don't really have a legitimate, or besides Wan'Dale Robinson, they've been outside of him. There's really no consistency. Yeah, Scatterboo on that end of the football, running the ball. Now he got his first reception touchdown against the Broncos last game, but it feels like, they're just not a well-oiled machine quite yet, and Dart is kind of still getting comfortable behind center. So I guess it can make sense. With the circumstances, I guess didn't call for it, but I thought it was worth it. Put in a four-player touchdown parlay, and to have two of those guys do absolutely shit, maybe it made me feel really great about myself. I thought Luke McCaffrey on Washington was gonna be he's gonna have a good game against the Cowboys secondary, who's not doing too hot, or is not considered one of their better units because they're young and they have a lot of interchangeable pieces right now. People trying to that defense is gonna get better. I just maybe as this year goes on, maybe next year, but you can see the Cowboys building something. But I thought with the McCaffrey being one of those he has a really good yards per reception. Not a lot of catches, but with Noah Brown, Terry McLaurin, and Daboll Samuel out, and with McCaffrey sprinkled in from time to time, you think with all those guys out, he would be able to do something. But then Daniels got hurt, so it's not looking too hot over there for Washington right now. But yeah, McCaffrey, I don't think had a freaking catch. So to have two players on the 4-player parlay to not even have a catch, good thing I don't have any big following. They'll be murder. They'll murder me on that one. They'll wow, strong words. They would crucify me. I guess you could say they would definitely bash me for that. But hey, for me it's a theory. I'm big on the theory and the reasoning and the circumstances, but it just didn't happen. Anyway, let's get to this Giants collapse. 33-32 Broncos. That's how it was. That was the final score. I think there was they set a record. Giants were the first team in I don't know how many years or maybe ever, but a team to lead by 18 points going into the fourth quarter had 1,000 straight wins. 1,000 plus wins have occurred by a team that is leading by 18 into the fourth quarter. I think that was a stat. Am I bugging? That was a crazy stat. They made history, the Giants, by losing that game. So, but I want to focus on this because this is where the game really happened, right? This is where the game really flipped. I'm just going to give you the numbers on here. This is what happened. It was 19-0 going into It was at 2 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The Broncos got the ball to start their drive. It was 19-0 at that point. Which was so weird is that when I tuned into the Giants game, well, I didn't tune in, but I said, "Hey Siri, Giants score."
The Giants lost to the Broncos last Sunday.
I know I was trying to, make a point here, but the good thing you're still listening. Always listening. I said that Giants score, and it said 19-0. I was like, "Oh damn," because I have J.K. Dobbins on my team. I'm like, "Oh damn, what is he doing? Is he doing anything?" I think he had like 71 yards rushing. So weird. When I saw that, literally, I think he had like maybe 12 more rushing yards at that point after that. And that was it. Like that was the last bit of like the hope of the Giants winning that game. It felt like, I mean, like that was basically, that was a turning point, which was so odd that I happened to see the score at that point. So weird, man. Timing is everything, and there are no such thing as coincidences. I feel like that's been a theme now for a couple months. So at 2 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in the third quarter, the Broncos got the ball, right? And this is from that point forward. These are the stats in that game. So 19-0, right? Broncos go on to win 33-32. So they scored 33 points. By the way, 33 was a huge number in this previous week. I'm not going to dive into conspiracy because I don't really know too much of it. But I just kept seeing that number. The scores were adding up to it. The clock kept, there was stopped there. And it's just like weird things. That's all I got on that. So the Broncos outscored the Giants 33-12. 33-13. 33-13. The Broncos outscored the Giants from 2 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in third quarter and on. It really was a tale of like two halves, or from fourth quarter on was the difference, because at that point in time, Denver gained 289 yards of offense compared to the Giants, who got 77 yards of offense. Total for the game, the Giants had 387. Total for the game, Denver had 407. 20 more yards Denver did than the Giants. But at that little part of the third quarter on, Denver gained 289 yards compared to the Giants' 99 yards. So once Denver got going offensively from that point on, they were not stopped. The Giants, from that point on, even though they did score 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, which you're like, oh, that's great. They had a key interception, timely interception, and they punted when they really needed to get a first down. So offensively, first downs. Also, in the second half, was the Giants had, this is what I'm calling earned first downs. I say earned first down because you also got first downs from penalties. But in the game, this is through pass or run. The Giants had 19 overall in the game, but they had 7 in the second half. Denver had 23 overall in the game. They had 13 in the second half. So it really was more of a tale of two halves, especially for Denver. They didn't have anything going in the first. And once they got chugging along, literally from late in the third into the fourth, onto the fourth, and through the fourth, they weren't stopped. And that's where a big issue for me was. Yes, you can talk about the Giants' collapse and, offensively they just, they weren't showing up. But defensively, there was a big problem there. Like I just showed you the amount of yards Denver was able to gain. And also, a lot of long plays were given up. A lot of long plays were given up by the Giants. Like, for instance, that first drive, they gave up a 16-yard pass, a 32-yard run. The second drive, this is all from that late third into the fourth. I'll just call it the first drive of the fourth quarter. First drive, 16-yard pass, 32-yard run. Second drive, 21-yard run. Okay. The fourth drive, 31-yard pass, 20-yard pass, 18-yard run. And then the final drive, 29-yard pass given up, 22-yard pass. What I'm saying is, you see these are big chunk plays. The Giants gave up a bunch of big chunk plays, in the fourth quarter. In and at the same time, they were not able to get many first downs, and they had some quick drives. So it was literally just the momentum that was building for the Broncos, and the Giants just couldn't keep up at one point. Even though, again, they scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. It all started by Denver scores a touchdown, Giants score a touchdown. When the Giants scored a touchdown, they were up 26-8. Denver scores a touchdown, 26-16, and then they got the 2-point. Giants interception, immediately Denver scores 26-23. So this stuff started to accelerate fast. Giants punted. They couldn't get anything going. That was a key one right there because no first downs. Denver got the ball right back. They scored a touchdown to make it 30-26. Giants answer with a touchdown and quick, but on that play, they got some help on they had a 19-yard completion on 4th and 19. Dart was scrambling to his right. He stepped up, scrambled to his right, and fired a nice pass basically across his body, almost to the left side of the field to Wan'Dale Robinson. They gave him the first down. It was super close, but they pushed it, got it. I think later in that drive, a couple plays later, they threw to Bo Collins, and it was a pass interference in the end zone, and then Jackson Dart. So they got the ball right there, and then Jackson Dart runs it in. Made a nice stretch dive and kept his knees off the ground, and he reached in, broke the plane, touchdown. So they had some gutsy plays still offensively. So you can't really you really can't be too mad about the Giants' offense in this game, especially when the going got tough and they had to keep going. It's just defensively too many chunk plays allowed, and I get it. Once a team gets going offensively, it's kind of hard to stop that bleed, that nosebleed, I guess you can say. And so it just came down defensively, and then I looked at it. What did the Giants give up yards per play defensively on the season? Where do they rank? And they give up defensively. They give up 5.7 yards a play, so that's tied for 24th. I thought it was 26, tied for 24th because a couple other teams are there. I think Buffalo and Baltimore is also there. So they give up a lot of yards per play, but Baltimore has Lamar, although now they haven't recently, so they're struggling with that. And the Bills are able to overcome the defensive problems if they have, when they do have them, because they haven't been a totally strong unit for a couple seasons now, Buffalo. Especially it seems like as Josh Allen has gotten better, the defense hasn't quite been the same. They haven't had that lockdown. It's funny, the ebbs and flows and the gives and take of stats and how it is. You might be good at one thing, but you're not very good here. And then once you get very good here, you're not very good at that anymore. It's the great teams are really good at both sides, at doing defense, having offense and defense. But now it's kind of teetering where offensive, but even now offensively, Buffalo is not quite lighting it up recently. So even then, I think that's why they're a little bit more mortal. But point is, Josh Allen can make up for a lot of Buffalo's flaws, I guess you can say. And when Jackson Dart, who had 283 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, he ran one in, he counted 4 touchdowns. The Giants' defense was giving up a bunch of chunk plays. They started picking the Giants apart, and it wasn't like wide open plays. Like it wasn't like there were some good throws there. Sutton had some really good catches. Got a little luck. I know Mims had some really big plays for them in that fourth quarter down the right sideline. On the last drive, he had a 29-yard catch, I believe, like I just said, to set them up near, real close to field goal range, right? So there was some stuff that was going on there. Yeah, 29 to Mims, 22 to Sutton. It's just the Giants' defense at that point that they just couldn't keep up the same level of play from the first half to the second half. But it makes sense because my buddy Ryan says it's the law of averages, right? And where Broncos were struggling really bad in the first, they really started getting going. And where the Giants are playing good defensively, they just couldn't hold up in the second half. So you can't quite blame the offense for the Giants. They had some interesting plays for touchdowns. Bellinger was wide open he had 3 catches, 88 yards. This is the second string tight end for the Giants. He had 3 for 88 and a touchdown. He was left wide open for a touchdown. I think it was I forget, 40-plus yard touchdown. Theo Johnson had a 41-yard touchdown on a tip pass So that was like, I don't want to say these are fluke plays, but that was a tip pass and he got up. And then Tyrone Tracy had a 31-yard run. Uh, Also, I think that was late in the first half. So, but that was weird because the safety Haifunga, I forget how to pronounce his name, but for the Broncos, he misread a he misread. Once he came down towards the line of scrimmage and went the wrong way, he totally looked at the wrong guy. Tracy literally was untouched. So like a lot of untouched plays. You can say the Giants offense got kind of lucky too. This was just a weird. This is actually just a weird game in general. A weird game in general. Giants some big plays offensively, but kind of broken down defensive plays for the Broncos. Um, Broncos didn't get anything going in the first half. They weren't really running the ball much. They decided not to run the ball. In fact, Bo Nix had 50 pass attempts. That was the most pass attempts he's had in a game this season. And they started off the game with 3 straight pass attempts. The Broncos did. So Sean Payton, his idea was let's throw the ball. Our intention today is to throw the ball. He's always got a chip on his shoulder, or he's edgy. So maybe he was trying to make a point and try to light up the Giants. But the Giants are one of the better teams as far as QB rating. I mean, they give up a lot of passing yards, but QB rating are pretty good. That's a good indication that the defense is actually not bad, and they got some good players on that team. They really do. They're close to getting it together. They're not that far off from getting it together. There's certain elements probably they can be better at. Scatterbo does run the ball really well, and he's having a good season, but he's still running under 4 yards a clip. So not saying that's the reason why they're not playing well. I'm not knocking Scatterbo. He literally he's the white Saquon Barkley. I don't care what anybody says. When I saw this guy, I'm like, who's he remind me of? Oh yeah, that's right. The Giants literally think they have, and I believe they probably saw it. This guy looks like Saquon Barkley. He literally runs with the same. He keeps his feet moving, and he's very strong. He's very strong. Saquon and him are kind of similar. Don't beat me up for that one. But there's a similar intensity to their running, and Scadaboo's footwork, his footwork is pretty good. Saquon's footwork is very good, but they both keep the feet moving, is what I mean, and they really fight for those. They can fight for those yards. They don't go backwards, as to say they go forward. They're built kind of similar too, but it's just Dart's gonna get more comfortable. He didn't play bad at all. I mean, that one turnover, sure, we've seen that before, where you don't see the linebacker. Strand, Strand, I think. Can't forget. But the Broncos with all these names they have on their roster, all very good players. Dart didn't see him on the late in the fourth quarter, or in that drive, or middle of the fourth quarter, I think it was, which led to an interception and led to a quick touchdown. But there was some good play calling also for the Broncos late in the game. Bo Nix had a really nice, I think it was 18-yard run. But the linemen for the Broncos, all of them did their part. Excellent blocking. Right tackle Mike McKinley. I'm telling you, I'm terrible with these names. He was all the way upfield near the goal line. He ran all the way upfield and made the final block. I mean, they really did some good blocking on that play. Nix accounted for 4 touchdowns. He had 2 rushing, 2 passing, and he had 279. But he had a 54% completion percentage. So I think that's where the Giants. That's where you can see the QB rating come into play. 54% completion percentage that assists. That's reflective of your QB rating, if I'm not mistaken. So weird game all the way around. But it's interesting because as good as the Giants defense shows up in spurts, and they were batting balls down. Both defenses were, in fact. Brian Burns had 2 sacks in the first half, I think. But it just when it came down to the making plays and momentum, the Broncos just took off. I know people were talking about Brian Daboll, and this is going to be the job that this is the game where he gets fired now. I wouldn't quite think that yet. It's one of those I think it's just things that happened that kind of felt like it was out of his control at that moment. I'll give him another few games, see where the Giants respond, see how the Giants respond after this loss, and then they should determine if they should get rid of him or not. But I think that the response right now is going to be really important for Daboll and the Giants, because they did have that game, but there was some luck involved, and as far as some weird plays, but not luck, but defensive lapses from the Broncos and all that. But it definitely it was an interesting game, back and forth. It was a weird game, but momentum, and then Giants defense giving up all those big plays in the fourth quarter that they couldn't get a stop. And literally, the Giants only punted one time in the fourth, so you can't even say offensively. Yes, one punt and one interception, sure, but you know, but they did, like I did start off this video saying, 99 yards of total offense, and from that third quarter on. But what's really the highlight is the 289 yards of total offense for the Broncos with about 3 minutes left in the third, all the way to the end of the game. That, that's the big point right there. So if you can follow that crazy rant and scramble, whatever I just gave you, just follow it, because there is a message there. I'm out of here. I'm done. Welcome to the YouTube Sports Network.